So just to let you know what's going on here, this is the picture of the factory. That's who we represent. They're in 70 countries, 46 states nationwide. They've been able to work with companies like Pepsi, Nissan, Perrier. The owner is a certified water specialist. So like I said, if you guys ever did want to handle something in the future, you guys can always call the retail office. What they would actually do is build you a custom system according to how the test comes out. So it's not one generic one for every home, because the water is different in every part of the city. This I'm going to use for the second test. The first test is going to be a visual test, so you can see exactly what's in the water. All the crushed rock, sediment, limestone, all that kind of stuff. These two chemicals, they're going to grab onto anything solid, and everything's going to precipitate down. So I'm going to put 5 drops to each. Now your water is on the left side. The water coming through here is on the right side. So I'm going to put 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a test that's going to take about 15-20 minutes. That's why we do it first. What you're going to notice is the one on the right is going to clear up a lot faster. You kind of mix it there. And this one I have some stuff to grab onto and eventually settle. So we'll come back to this one in a little bit. The next one's a analytical test. We're going to see exactly how hard the water is. Obviously, you probably already know that the water's hard, right? Maybe you see spots where you have skin dryness or stuff in the hair. The Water Quality Association, they measure hardness on grains per gallon, whether it's soft or extremely hard. So to prepare this, we're going to add sulfur. Okay? It's going to be 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this next one is a dye, a staining agent. Anything that stains red means there's some kind of hardness. If it's blue, it means it's neutralized, kind of like bottled water or treated water. So again, 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see that your tap water turned red. Obviously it's hard. And this one's blue. Now this is a neutralizer, so depending on how many drops it takes for it to turn blue, that's how many grains you have per gallon. And according to the Water Quality Association, anything over 3, they recommend that you use bottled waters or filters. If it's over 14, they recommend that you do something because it starts to ruin everything, like the pipes, the fixtures, plumbing, all that kind of stuff. So let's see how many grains per gallon you have coming through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 grains. So 15 grains per gallon is considered extremely hard water. Okay? Now what that means, just to give you an example, how many people in the home? 4? Okay. So the government says that each person uses an average of 100 gallons per person per day. Laundries, dishes, showers, all that kind of stuff. Bathrooms, kitchens. So if there's 4 of you, approximately 400 gallons come through the household every day. At 15 grains per gallon, what's 15 times 4? 60. So you have 6,000 grains coming through every day. Now there's 7,000 grains per pound. So that means you almost have 1 pound of crushed rock entering the home every day. So if you picture that pound of sugar or the pound of flour that you buy at the grocery store, you get about 1 of those every day coming in the home. So that's a lot, and it's the reason why you see spots on the chrome, skin issues, gets in your hair, everywhere that the water touches. So most people, what they notice is the everyday stuff, especially when you're in a new home like this. You may have spots on the dishes. You have to use more ingredients on coffees, teas, or juices, more lotions, more conditioners, more time spent cleaning, more chemicals for the clothes. And you guys having a nice, beautiful house, what you want to do is you want to prevent all this kind of stuff, being that it's your biggest investment. The water heater takes a beating, and everything costs money to replace. All these fixtures, water heater, all that kind of stuff, it's not cheap. So we call it crushed rock, but it's everything in the ground. All the calcium, magnesium, iron, all that kind of stuff. So what the city does is they run it over limestone, and then they add chlorine to it. Sometimes they add too much chlorine. You ever notice like a pool smell? Now, they used to be able to test a chlorine with something electrical like this, but it always went to the max. So we had to spend the $3 at Walmart for the pool test kit. Okay? So this here is a chemical that stains chlorine yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water from your tap here, and I'm going to put 5 drops. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now while this one sits, Mrs. Johnson, if you can do me a favor, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how chlorine works. Okay? So go ahead and hold this, and then stick your pinky in there for about 10 seconds. Mrs. Johnson or little Susie, okay? So while they're doing that, you show this to Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, if you can just hold this and shine it up to the light, and what you're doing is you're trying to compare the shade of yellow and matching it to the number. Now, for a pool, they recommend the chlorine level be at 2. So obviously you don't want pool water coming through the home, right? So what number is that, Mr. Johnson? 2. So it's perfect for a pool. Now, Mrs. Johnson, give me this water right here. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to put a little bit here, and then you're going to rinse it, okay? And then you pour the rest in here. You're going to put the same 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Mr. Johnson, same water, same drops. What shade of yellow is it? No yellow at all. So it's clear. Where did the chlorine go? That's right, in your skin. So the whole point being is we become the filters. Our body is our skin is super absorbent. And I don't know about you, but we're kind of expensive filters to be replacing. So now the city, we don't do any scare tactics, right? Obviously the city needs to put chlorine. We don't want green water coming out of the tap. But just like the gallon of milk that you buy at the store where you drink the milk but you don't eat the gallon, that's how we should be treating chlorine, just as a container. So it's fine that the city gets it to our home with chlorine, but once it's here, it's just not a good idea to drink or shower in. And you guys can do your own research on the harmful effects that it creates with we don't get into that. All we can say is it's not your safest chemical to come in contact with. Fair enough? Now the next test I do is TDS. TDS means total dissolved solids. This means anything in the water from crushed rocks to chemicals. You've heard of water softeners before, right? Water softeners were invented 80 years ago to handle the water 80 years ago. Now, as you know, growing up, we used to be able to drink out of the water hose. There was no such thing as filters or bottled water around the house, right? Well, what happened is the quality of the water went down, but the technology stayed the same. So now you can find softeners anywhere. Walmart, Home Depot, Sears, Lowe's, and about 20 companies in the phone book and internet. Now, these companies, what they do is they'll measure TDS by multiplying the grains per gallon by 10 for softeners. So you guys were at 15 grains here, right? So if this says 150, you can go buy a softener and everything's fine. Okay, so I'm going to give you a number here. This is from the scale from the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Now, anything from 0 to 50 is your ideal drinking water. Anything over 500 is your maximum contamination level. And then we said if it's about 150 or lower, you can go buy a softener at Sears or Walmart and everything's fine. So let's see where your water is for a test out here. $350. Okay, so you can see here, it's kind of on the high side, right? It's not your maximum, but it's also not your ideal, and it's too much for a softener. So the main point here is a lot of people like to go buy softeners like at Walmart or Sears, and in about a year, they start having problems. And of course, if you buy it from XYZ company, they love those problems because it means more service calls and more business for them. So softeners are just old technology. Now, just to give you a comparison of this number right here, 350, can I borrow some of your bottled water? Okay, there's some right here. Now, do you guys buy this brand all the time? Okay, or do you buy whatever's on sale? What's your favorite brand? So this brand right here, it measures at 30. Okay, this is Ozarka. So 30. So big difference from 350 all the way to 30, which falls in your ideal category. So to explain bottled water, the only legal, it's all okay as long as it says one word, purified. When it says purified, legally it has to run through reverse osmosis and UV. When it says spring water or drinking water, they don't have to. Okay. So if you had for example, Aquafina. If you had Aquafina right now, this would say 1. It's the best water I've ever tested. I don't work for Aquafina, but they're pretty good. Dasani is at 10. Now, Sam's Choice, Walmart, Target, Albertsons, any of their purified water, it'll measure anywhere from 10 to 20. So it's fine, and it's definitely better than your name brands. Way better than tap water, right? Now, Ozarka will measure at 30, just like what you saw here. Nestle Pure Life is anywhere from 40 to 60. So I mean, it's all fine. Now you get to spring water. Arrowhead. Arrowhead will measure, about 180. Fiji, the most expensive one, always, every time, it's able to measure over 300. So great marketing. It comes from an island, it's blessed by whoever. It's just tap water run through a carbon filter, just like your filter right here. So let me test your filter in the fridge. Now how old is this filter? 6 months? Okay, that's pretty good. Now most people, they're either like, what filter, or they just forget about it. So 6 months isn't bad. So here it went from 350 from the tap all the way to 320. So it's doing something. I always say something's better than nothing, right? Now if that filter was brand new, the most I've seen these refrigerator filters do is 100 less than the actual tap water. So if it was at 350 and it was brand new, it'd be maybe about 260, 250. Okay? Now, so that's pretty much it for the test. The reason that we do this is just to make you guys remember water. Just give you a reminder of water. You guys don't have time to think about water. You have your children, your family, all that kind of stuff. So what you may have seen on the news or read in the newspaper, the biggest problem here in this area is the supply and demand. Okay? But there's actually more than 10 million chemicals manufactured. They only test for 2%. Some of those being chlorine, arsenic, radon. Now, we're consistently doing tests all over the United States, and every part of the United States has their own poisons, their own problems, right? For example, New Mexico, Arizona has a lot of uranium. You go closer to Los Alamos, they say if the water's not glowing, it's fine. Here in El Paso, the biggest threat happens to be arsenic.